Hi everybody. I'm going to try a little experiment here. I'm going to read a little bit from Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. It's one of my favorite books. And Hawthorne's he's perhaps my favorite author, at least in the current moment. This passage describes the custom house, and I'm going to go ahead and walk around. One of the older, there's good light right there. One of the older inhabitants or residents of the custom house, or not inhabitant or resident, but is that a kind of a slip? One of the employees of the custom house that Nathaniel Hawthorne is describing, which is kind of an autobiographical event because it's something that he took over. It really was a place that he worked, the custom house in Salem, Massachusetts, but he managed to weave it into the tale as well as the source by which he came across the manuscript that describes the Scarlet Letter. So he does one of Nathaniel Hawthorne's greatest capabilities, his abilities, is the ability to weave sketches, images of people and places in his books. And he does so brilliantly in so many in the House of Seven Gables. Anyway, listen to this. I'm going to read this. I'm giving you guys a practice. This is how I practice, because I'm going to read this to my daughter later over dinner, and we're going to chat about it. So I wanted to try it here. Although I've got to find a place where the light is decent. Back over there is better. So this is old English. Remember, this is like middle of the 19th century style. So here, I got a light just above me. Here we go. So remember, Hawthorne is trying to describe he's taken over, he is the, what would you call it? The appointed master of the customs house in Salem, Massachusetts. And he's come to take possession of it. And he's got a cadre of old men that basically are the appointed representatives of the place. And there's one in particular that he's trying to describe, kind of the patriarch of the group. Here we go. There's one likeness without which my gallery of custom house portraits would be strangely incomplete, but which my comparatively few opportunities for observation enabled me to sketch only in the merest outline. It is that of the collector, our gallant old general, who, after his brilliant military service, subsequently to which he had ruled over a wild western territory, had come hither 20 years before to spend the decline of his varied and honourable life. The brave soldier had already numbered nearly or quite his 80 years and 10, and was pursuing the remainder of his earthly march, burdened with infirmities which even the martial music of his own spirit-stirring recollections could do little towards lightening. The step was palsied now that he had been foremost in the charge. It was only with the assistance of a servant, and by leaning his hand heavily on the iron balustrade, that he could slowly and painfully ascend the custom house steps, and, with a toilsome progress across the floor, attain his customary chair beside the fireplace. There he used to sit, gazing with a somewhat dim serenity of aspect at the figures that had come and went, amidst the rustle of papers, the administration of oaths, the discussion of business, and the casual talk of the office, all which sounds and circumstances seemed but indistinctly to impress his senses, and hardly to make their way into his inner sphere of contemplation. His countenance in this repose was mild and kindly. If his notice was sought, an expression of courtesy and interest gleamed out upon his features, proving that there was light within him, and that it was only the outward medium of the intellectual lamp that obstructed the rays, changing a page, in their passage. Almost done. The closer you penetrated to the substance of his mind, the sounder it appeared. When no longer called upon to speak or listen, either of which operations cost him an evident effort, his face would briefly subside into its former, not uncheerful quietude. It was not painful to behold this look, for, though dim, it had not the imbecility of decaying age. The framework of his nature, originally strong and massive, was not yet crumbled into ruin. What? Wow. I, I stumbled across, I reread that, I've read this, before. Stumbled across it while I was on a walk today at work, and just had to reread it several times. I mean, like I say, Hawthorne makes me weak in the knees when I read him. So that description of an old man, whose life has basically been, rendered, how do you describe it? His life is basically done for the most part. The body is giving up its efforts. There's not much left to it. The mind, yet though, remains somewhat intact. The imbecility of old age. What does he call it? Still originally strong, was not yet crumbled into ruin. Yeah, and it made me think about how that comes upon us, right? The imbecility. Although it sounds like a bit of an insult to talk about the imbecility of old age, we know what he's talking about. We all do, and it's a threat to all of us. And the crumbling into ruin is also not just a threat. I feel it now. I'm about to go out tomorrow to. I'm going to make an attempt on the deep water on Mount Wildness out in the deep water wilderness, and I know that attempt is partially motivated by my knowledge that I'm crumbling into ruin. But just the way Hawthorne writes, truly magnificent. Sorry I wasn't paying attention to comments. I just had to kind of get this out. Let's see what people said. See if I missed anything. Hi, your words are soothing to listen to. Regards from Japan. Oh, thank you. Voice. Wow, indeed. Scary reality. Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm so glad you guys chose to share this with me for a moment. It means a lot to me. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this with a dramatic ending. I'm going to hop in the pool. I'll put this up here. Let's see if this will work. Will this work? Here. I'm going to go jump in the pool. It's my evening swim. I do this every night. 10 laps. 5 overhand. Well, I kind of do this. So you can see how I do it in the book. In the book I describe my swim. 5 like this and 5 like that. Okay, so I'm going to wonder if I can make it to the other side in one breath. What do you guys think? Give it a try. It's long. It's a big pool. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you later. 8 more laps. And tomorrow, Deepwater Wilderness, Mount Wildness, if I can make it. See ya.